Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the DFO Fantasy Show. It is Wednesday, October 22nd. We've reached Hump Day, and Week 3 is in full force. We had a great night of action last night. 3-game slate on our hands today as Week 3 continues to roll on. So if you listened to me at the start of the week and streamed the Buffalo Sabres, they got another game tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. So, as a Red Wings fan, hopefully they don't have too much luck. But from a fantasy perspective, the Sabres are positioned nicely still this week. So let's get into the news and notes for Wednesday, October 22nd. And then we will get to Brock's lock of the day and Waiver Wire Wednesday with our guy Beebs Bondy. First, Chris Tanev is expected to miss some time after leaving Tuesday's game with an upper body injury. The Maple Leafs really scuffling right now, so obviously, not playing great defensively and losing one of their top defensive defensemen is not going to help the cause. So it looks like Tanev is going to miss some time. Speaking of defenseman injuries, we've got Shane Gostisbehere, who we knew was banged up the other night. But the Hurricanes have just the longest road trip ever going on right now. And Gostisbehere was sent back home, sent back to Carolina. So he's going to miss the final 2 games of the road trip. I honestly cannot believe they still have 2 games left on this road trip. It just never seems to end. So Gostisbehere will miss at least 2 more games. In the short term, K'Andre Miller, he's available in about 55% of leagues, but in non-banger formats, he should be a little bit more readily available. He's top power play quarterback in Carolina right now with Gostisbehere out. So I think K'Andre Miller is certainly worth a look. In Detroit, he will not play tonight. Patrick Kane, upper body injury, did not make the trip, so he's going to miss at least the next 2 games. They got a back-to-back on Wednesday, Thursday. I believe it's a back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday, and then he'll be reevaluated for their next home game. So Patrick Kane will miss at least 2 more games. Michael Brandt-Nygaard has been the one that's been elevated to the top 6 with Patrick Kane out. And then lastly, we've got Mason Marchment. Not huge fantasy implications here day-to-day with a lower body injury, but what's so interesting about this injury is just the fact that it just does not seem to stop for the Seattle Kraken. The injuries just continue to mount. This team is outrageously short-handed right now. If you take a look up front here, missing Capo, Kakko, Jared McCann, Frederick Gaudreau, Mason Marchment, all at the forward position. So literally missing 4 of their top 9 forwards. No Riker Evans, no Brandon Montour on the blue line. This is a team that is extremely injured right now, and really unfortunate for them. The replies to this tweet were just like, no, why does this keep happening? So yeah, not great times in Seattle right now. Let's get on to Brock's lock of the day. So yesterday, we had Conor Garland over 2.5 shots on goal. He scored immediately. 1 shot on goal, obviously. Had 2 shots on goal after the first period. I'm like, this is easy money. No way this doesn't cash. He failed to record another shot. So our perfect streak of Brock's lock ends. So Conor Garland is on the shit list for now, unable to generate a single shot on goal in the final 2 periods of last night's contest, bringing our record to 3-1 on the season. We're going back to the shot props tonight. As always, Brock's Lock of the Day is presented to you by our friends at 5v5 Hockey. They have a 7-day free trial going on. You can access this model for free for the first 7 days. So check it out, 5v5hockey.com. Great model. They got assist points, blocks, goals, saves, everything you want. Over, under as well. You can toggle that. We're sticking with shot props here. We're going to dig a little bit deeper today. I really wanted to go with Emmitt Finnie over 1.5 shots on goal for the Red Wings, but it was really hard to find a book that even had his line. So to make it a little bit more readily available for the public, we're going down to Dylan Larkin here from the Detroit Red Wings. Dylan Larkin has just had an excellent start to the season. He's picked up at least 1 point in every single game so far this season. Currently sits tied for 8th in the NHL in goals, and he just draws a phenomenal matchup tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. As good as the Sabres have looked the last couple of games, they have still been a mess defensively. They're allowing the most shot attempts against per 60 in the NHL and the second most shots on goal in the NHL so far in the early part of this season. So a phenomenal matchup for Larkin tonight. This line is just minus 141. So over 2.5 shots on goal at minus 141 seems like terrific value for Larkin tonight. He's cleared this line over 2.5 shots in 4 of 6 games so far this season, and he's averaging over 6 shot attempts per game right now. So historically throughout his career, he's hit the net on about 55% of his shot attempts. So, those 2 unders that hit so far this season look more of like the exception than the rule at this point in the season. A guy that is shooting the puck as much as Larkin is, he's going to hit the net with at least 3 shots on goal tonight. So this is a Buffalo Sabres team just absolutely hemorrhaging shots again. So I am backing Larkin to stay hot Over 2.5 shots on goal at -141 is Brock's lock of the day. Hopefully Larkin can take us to 4-1 on the season. Now let's get over to our friend Beebs Bondy as we welcome him in for Waiver Wire Wednesday. What's up, Beebs?
Hey Brock, how we doing? We are fantastic. You've been slaying it on your locks. It was tough to see that happen last night, but I will take full credit for that one. You actually texted me and said, "Looks like the locks hit," and we're 5 minutes in. So maybe I'm gonna also give you credit for that miss. But yeah, you hate to see that. We are doing fantastic over here. We've been kind of slaying this segment so far this year to the point that Brock and I actually realized we kind of have to change it up a bit because we don't have as many awesome options as we originally did in the first couple weeks because people are catching on to the hot players and who's doing what, who's doing well here and there, and that's totally okay. But we're still going to give you a few juicy pickups and a few. We're going to look at goalies, which is a lot of fun. I'm glad Brock will be taking the reins on that one because I, not always the best with goalies, but here we are, and let's have a day.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting right now is we were looking at the waiver wire and I'm like, there is just so many quality goalie options right now, which is pretty rare in fantasy hockey. So how this segment is going to work today, pretty similar as always, but Beebs is going to be tackling our skaters. I'm going to be tackling the goalies, and we are going to alternate back and forth. So when it's all said and done, we're going to give you about 7 goalies and 5 players to target. Beebs has got 3 kind of standard format targets and 2 banger league targets, and then I've got a plethora of goalies to talk about. So I'm going to take it away first, and we're going to stick with the Detroit Red Wings after Brock's lock of the day. The goaltenders here are Cam Talbot and John Gibson. They're both readily available in fantasy leagues right now. Cam Talbot at 36% rostered, John Gibson at 34% rostered. John Gibson struggled in the season opener, which opened the door for Cam Talbot to start 3 straight games. He made the most of it. He went 3-0-0 with a 2.0 goals against average, a .929 save percentage, and 2.2 goals saved above expected. He was excellent, had some unbelievable performances, most notably the one in Toronto. He just stood on his head. So I imagine he probably gets back between the pipes tonight. We'll see here in a few hours. But and then you got John Gibson, who, again, his season debut was rough, but some of those goals were a little fluky. I expected him to settle in nicely after that, and that's what he's done. He's stopped 47 of 50 shots for a .940 save percentage to win back-to-back games. The problem is at this point, both Detroit goalies should probably be rostered. The Red Wings are playing strong team hockey. They're supporting. They went from one of the worst penalty kills in the league last year to one of the best penalty kills in the league this year. However, it does look like it's going to be a timeshare all year the way these two are playing. And Todd McLellan has already shown a propensity to just kind of ride the hot hand a little bit. Like, he's not afraid to give these guys back-to-back starts or 3 starts in a row. So that means, like, whether you own Gibson or whether you own Talbot, there's a chance that you get only 1 or 0 starts from a guy in a week. So I do think it'll be a little bit frustrating to own either of these guys, but they should both deliver solid ratios when they play. And while the Red Wings are hot, I think they deserve to be owned. It's just a matter of which one's available in your league, which one you prefer. It might be kind of like a stream, one on, one off, if your league mates aren't picking up either of them. But yeah, a bit of a frustrating situation to own probably throughout the season. But the way they're playing right now, I think both goalies are worthy of a roster spot as your 3rd or 4th fantasy net miner. Let's get to our first skater of the day.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that John Gibson bounce back since I was big on him coming out. But first skater, before we start this too, I do want to mention that on Twitter, because we only go week by week here, it's a little tough to get ahead of guys on the show. But if you do want to get ahead of them online, we do post quite a bit on Twitter, Brock and myself. We've been taking a step forward on fantasy this year. And for example, Zach Benson, currently 30% owned in fantasy, and not to pump our own tires here, but we were tweeting about him at about 2% owned before he touched the lineup, was basically stepping into a line 1 role, and hilarious. So Buffalo's return to relevance this year basically correlates with Zach Benson entering the lineup 3 games ago. The 20-year-old, yes, only 20, former 13th overall pick in 2023, has all the pedigree to be Buffalo's next big star, and he's found himself in a fantastic position on their first line with Tage Thompson, and top power play, that's which we absolutely love. The flashy forward has turned his early optimal usage into an incredible 6 assists and 11 shots on goal through 3 games, so he's doing it all. He's coming off an eye-opening 7-shot performance on Monday in his loss to Montreal, and that's kind of why I wanted to re-mention Zach Benson. I know that Brock brought him up on Monday, and you're probably thinking this is a little regurgitated, but that 7-shot on goal game on Monday just kind of made us realize that this kid has the ability to also put the pill in the back of the net. I know early on we're like, well, if you get him, like maybe just take the assist, but it looks like, he's willing to shoot more. He played 21-11 on Monday as well. That was another thing that absolutely opened my eyes. Currently averaging 3.66 shots per game and rounding around 20 minutes of ice time. These are the exact things that we look for when we're looking for a breakout and the ones that we want to jump on early. So for sitting at 30% right now, I still think Zach Benson's a little under-owned. And with the perfect schedule this week, as Brock mentioned, or the near perfect schedule in our opening episode to start the week, Benson makes a great pickup for now. And you can at least ride him with that schedule this week. And I personally think he is going to have some value if he continues to stick with Tage Thompson. It looks like a breakout here for a one-time 13th overall pick. So not that crazy of a guess here.
Yeah, I mentioned it on Monday. Like, obviously, I really like the Sabres as streamers this week, but I mentioned Benson and Doan just as my two favorites and guys that are great short-term ads right now, but both guys that feel, specifically Benson, feel like guys that could end up playing well enough to stay on your roster for the full season. So this week was
Doan now too, I think, is like 23% owned or 26% owned. So he's shot up quite a bit. He was 1% owned when we jumped on him over the weekend. So another reason just to get ahead with us.
Yeah, I think a little bit of the ownership jump is just due to the fact that they're such great streamers this week. Like, I do expect those numbers to come back down a little bit potentially after this week, but it is worth mentioning like how good Benson has been to start. And I do think that he's got some staying power on your roster. And it, like I said, it is kind of just the perfect opportunity to have them kind of have a tryout on your team in this perfect streaming week. And so far, so good. Benson and Tage Thompson averaging 3.2 expected goals for per 60, 37.6 scoring chances, 16.4 high danger chances. Small sample size, but so far, so good. Let's get to another goalie. We've got Jake Allen of the New Jersey Devils, currently 36% rostered with Jacob Markstrom sideline. Jake Allen has taken over as New Jersey's number one option, and he is thriving. He's undefeated with a 191 goals against average and a 931 save percentage. And the Devils are just playing fantastic hockey in front of him. They rank top 10 in both expected goals for per 60 at 5v5 and expected goals against per 60 at 5v5. So boasting also one of the league's best penalty kills. So just a very, very good goaltending environment here in New Jersey. You kind of just combine that strong defensive play with the fact that they are scoring 4.0 goals per game right now. And Allen is probably the best short-term pickup available at the moment. Nico Daws will get the start tonight, obviously in the second half of a back-to-back, but I imagine the way he's playing, Allen will get basically every start other than back-to-backs until Markstrom is back in the lineup. So that is my second goaltending pickup. And just to make it clear, we are rolling through these in order of own percentage, not really our favorite to our least favorite. This is just at least the goalies strictly by own percentage. We'll kind of lay out some of our favorites at the end of the show, but let's get to another skater.
Yeah, anyone worried also about Nico Daws taking the role long-term there? He had a 939 save percentage last year, and they still sent him down after 4 games. So Jake Allen seems to be the guy while Markstrom is out. But as you mentioned, we're talking forwards. So let's take a jump over to someone who's already been brought up. He's had a bit of a boost, but also some slander here from Brock. It's Conor Garland out in Vancouver, currently 27% owned. Another one that we were jumping on around 6% earlier on the weekend, if you were following along there, but currently occupying PP1 and L1. He's at a point per game right now. He's got 7 points in 7 games played and is averaging 3 shots per game with 21 shots on goal. Also, absolutely bonkers. Conor Garland currently averages 2011 time on ice, which would rank him in the top 25 in the league. But after bursts of offensive sparks in 2024, 2025, it appears that we've kind of seen Conor Garland take that next step forward with the trust of his new head coach, Adam Foote. He's quickly becoming his go-to guy on offense, and it's showing by his 20-plus minutes per night and usage with EP40 out there, which we absolutely love. The uptick in ice time has led to a massive boost in shots on goal and point production for this feisty forward, as shown by his 3 shots on goal per game and his point per game production, which we've never quite seen throughout his career. Recent injuries in Vancouver has kind of led to them leaning on Garland a little bit more. We've seen some top options go out there, or guys who maybe were expected to take a top 6 role. And because of that, Garland's taken a step forward here. And it's a trend that we really like to see right now, and one that I like to jump on. As Brock mentioned, he scored 1:18 into last night. Absolute blast of a shot, and had 2 shots on goal right away. Unfortunately, I think he just decided, he'd hit his quota. But if the team gives him a nice bigger quota next game, I'm fully expecting him to hit it regardless. They could give him 7 shots. He's going to take 7 shots. Totally kidding. But yeah, Garland makes a fantastic pickup right now. He's in a great spot in Vancouver, and they need to lean on him just to get things right over there. And it seems like he's going to be the piece that's helping Pettersson get back to his relevancy, because the last couple of games, I know personally, I thought that EP40s looked a lot better. And with that, Conor Garland's going to take the reins. So at 20% owned, he's definitely worth a look. Tons of ice time, shooting the puck a ton. It's going to work out for your fantasy team if you add him while he's in this position.
Shooting the puck a ton, just maybe not quite enough yesterday, unfortunately.
Yeah. Brought his average down.
I actually had Conor Garland on my league record roster because he was one of my favorite streamers last week, specifically on the weekend. And I dropped him for Zach Benson this week. I'm like, oh, man, like kind of a lateral move right now, but I wish I kind of would have kept him and Benson and found somebody else to drop. But the roster's deep over there. So
yeah, I've started to do the thing where I'm going like 1D under on every team already. It happens eventually. It's usually just not 2 weeks in. So we're running 3D in a 4D league and 2D in a 3D league. So
there you go. Let's get to another goalie. We've got Alex Lyon from the Buffalo Sabres, currently 28% rostered. Lyon has been an absolute workhorse to start the year. He's started every Buffalo Sabres game, and he has faced the most shots on goal, and he's also made the most saves in the NHL so far this season. He's posted a 255 goals against average, a 924 save percentage, and 1 shutout, and 5.1 goals saved above expected. Really, really good numbers across the board for Lyon. He has quietly been solid for years. I really liked him in Detroit, and he never played a ton, but he ranked top 30 among goalies who started at least 25 games in goals saved above expected per 60 in each of the last 2 seasons. So he's been solid. The only concern I really have with Lyon, well, I got a couple of concerns, but the main one is that the workload is probably going to shrink soon. I think what makes him valuable right now is the fact that he's in the crease every single night. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is going to be back before too long. He is on a conditioning stint in the AHL at the moment and should rejoin the team after a game or 2. Plus, Buffalo's defensive structure, I talked about it at the top with Brock's lock of the day, giving up a ton of shots, which helps, right? Helps boost that save percentage a little bit. But that defensive structure is just extremely shaky, and I think it's hard to imagine that a guy that has basically been a 905 save percentage goalie for the last 5 years has suddenly turned into a 920 save percentage guy. So even if that save percentage comes down to 910, that's going to push his goals against average above 3 with the amount of volume that he's seen. So I am a little bit nervous about UPL coming back and eating into the workload. I'm a little bit nervous about the defensive structure in Buffalo, but I think short term, obviously he's an okay option right now. I just don't think some of these names on this list probably have a little bit more staying power on your roster. Next forward, Beebs.
Yep. Next forward here. One again, super early on this one online, but Sean Couturier, currently 8% owned out in Philadelphia. He's occupying power play 1. He's L1, and he has 7 points in 6 games to start this season. Averaging 19:28 time on ice. You know how much I love seeing forwards creep closer to 20 minutes. Couturier was moved to Philadelphia's power play unit just 7 days ago, literally last hump day when we were recording this. And he's not really looked back since. He's put up 7 points in 8 shots on goal in 4 games since that promotion. And the 32-year-old captain is enjoying quite an impressive season for his 14th campaign in Philadelphia. The thing that makes him fantasy exciting and relevant, though, is the fact that it's his first year under Rick Tocchet, which is awesome because he clearly has found himself in his good books. He's no stranger to eating up ice time. He usually averages closer to 19-20 per game every year, but he's actually 57th among all forwards right now in time of ice, and I'm expecting a bit of an uptick there as we've seen the last couple of games. He showed absolutely amazing flashes of fantasy relevance last year as we closed out the year. I know personally I was riding him as I attempted to take home a fantasy hockey championship and failed and got second, but he had 13 points in his final 13 games, 5 of which were goals. And in those games, he had 39 shots on goal. That's good for 3 shots per game, proving he has that ability. So if we date back to his previous 13 games last year and his 6 games this year, he's actually over a point per game in his previous 19 with 20 points. And for a guy who's currently 8% owned, I was going to actually tackle him for our deep league segment. So the fact that we completely kiboshed that segment today, and I still am this confident in him. I love his usage. I think that it's we're kind of looking for a spark in Philadelphia offensively, and it seems that Couturier is that guy early on. If you're in a deeper league, he's certainly worth a look. He's my third favorite of the 3 players I've suggested, but at the same time, I know personally Brock and I are in a 12-team rather deep league, and I'm spot starting this guy every chance I get because it makes a fantastic play there. But I'm worried that someone's going to grab him and enjoy the fruits of his labor going forward. But for now, it's been a nice little run, Couturier, and 20 points in your last 19. We love to see it.
Yeah, I think this Flyers team still needs to get going offensively a little bit, as you alluded to. I think they need guys like Mishkov and Travis Konechny to kind of find their way, and I think that'll happen before too long. And yeah, he's put up decent numbers so far on an offense that isn't scoring. So if they do start to fire a little bit more on all cylinders, then I do think the offense can pick up. Next goalie is Jakub Dobeš of the Montreal Canadiens. He likes to start hot, this guy. He's starting hot yet again. He opened last year 5-0 with a 155 goals against average, a 941 save percentage. But after that, he went just 2-9 in his final 11 games. So maybe don't buy all the way in, but this year, 3-0, 163 goals against average, 939 save percentage, 1.9 goals saved above expected per 60, which is the third best rank in the NHL. He's playing phenomenal hockey right now. Montreal, their underlying numbers are pretty average, but they're good enough to give Dobeš an opportunity to win on most nights or every game that he starts, basically. The issue is just volume for me. Sam Montembeault is still there. He's not going anywhere. This is like the Habs are committed to kind of rotating these two, and I still think, unless Montembeault falters and Dobeš plays this good all year, like that's the only way he's going to really eat into this workload. I think they'll continue to split time evenly. Basically similar to like Gibson and Talbot, you're probably only going to get one, maybe two starts on a 4-game week from Dobeš and Montembeault. So the way he's playing, the way Montreal is playing, I like him as an option. But again, might be a little bit frustrating to him, especially when he's out there posting a 940 save percentage, but still only starting every other game. Next skater.
Actually, I was going to say before we go there, pretty bonkers though. Dobes last year, his first 5 games to start the year, 5-0, 941 save percentage, and then we saw him come back down to life and post closer to a 900. So just not to scare people, but he seems to be quite hot out of the gate. But let's just say though, if he has that in him, maybe he can keep it going a little bit longer. So super exciting for a guy who's in his second year and is not facing a sophomore slump, that's for sure. But my first skater is someone who Brock wanted to bet on earlier, could not. And I'm surprised he hasn't popped off more about this kid, but it's Emmitt Finnie out in Detroit. We're now focusing on banger targets here, by the way. Finnie currently 23% owned. He's playing on L1. We're waiting for him to get some power play time, but he has 5 points in 6 games right now, which you'd say that's pretty fantastic. I'm cool with that. I don't even have to know how many hits he's throwing, but he has 22 in 6 games. He's currently 25th in the NHL in hits. And despite being a 2023 7th round pick, we've watched Finnie battle and earn his way onto Detroit's top line out of training camp. And realistically, he's turned that into himself just becoming a magnet for hits and just rocking everything that has the puck. Finnie has not only turned his early unexpected usage into 5 points in 6 games, but as I mentioned, he's 25th in the league in hits. So he's giving you value in for a spot. If you look at the top 25 in hits, there's rarely guys who have more than 2 points right now. The 20-year-old, which is crazy that he's 20 and a 7th round pick and is now in Calder conversation. But he's watched his ice time increase nightly as head coach Todd McClellan becomes more confident in his game and proves that he can lean on him, as we've seen him above 1830 in his last 2 contests. That's resulted in 2 goals, 3 points, and 7 shots on goal. That's a 3.5 shot on goal pace. Obviously, it's only a small 2-game showing, but we love what we're seeing there, considering his season average right now is only 1541. So if we can see him get a little higher with a couple 18, 19-minute games, it's going to turn into some fantastic fantasy success. If he can continue to throw the body and just stay in that spot, it kind of seems like he could stay there all year. I mean, you're a resident Detroit guy, Brock, so you might want to step in here a little bit more, but I think realistically, he's one power play bump away from becoming relevant in non-banger leagues, like basically a must own at that point. I'm loving what I'm seeing here from Finnie. The 2 shots on goal per game early. Actually, I just realized that they took one off here, so it's 21 hits in 6 games played, but still, that's just absolutely fantastic production. You're getting it all from a kid who was not even supposed to be in the league this year. He's also a +7 right now. So if you're playing a crazy league that has plus minus, he's helping you there too. This guy's a category filler and crazy for someone we were talking about at 1% just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't think that he's going to get a bump to the top power play unit, but he's a phenomenal skater. He's playing with Larkin and Raymond. He's going to continue to pick up points. And yeah, like right now, definitely a banger league ad. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be a 70-point player this year. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I am. But
No.
it's just like, the usage with Patrick Kane out and Raymond out at the bump has been nice. Let's get to another goalie here. I can't believe we're talking about him on the podcast, but Dan Vladar from Philadelphia. Vladar, though, has just been absolutely terrific through 4 starts, a 175 goals against average, a 929 save percentage, and it doesn't look fluky. Philadelphia is currently the best team in the NHL in terms of expected goals against per 60 at 5v5 and sit top 10 in PK percentage. So the problem is they won't really score much in front of them, but the team defense has been absolutely elite so far. And with Sam Ersson struggling with an 849 save percentage, Vladar should continue to see increasing share of this workload. And as long as they're playing this well defensively in front of him, I like his potential to be solid moving forward as well.
Yep. And the final target here, we are going with a very, very deep banger league target here, but at 1%, just 1% owned, Vasily Podkolzin out in Edmonton. This move is directly related to his bump up to the first line in Edmonton yesterday that we saw in practice. He got paired with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl Tuesday before their ahead of their game versus Ottawa, and the 24-year-old responded with 4 hits in that debut. He didn't do much else. 1 shot on goal, no points, but at the same time, he added to his totals, and he now has 26 in 7 games played. That currently ranks him 14th in the NHL in points. One thing that worried me a little bit in that game, we did see Isaac Howard step up on that line and score a goal. So we are kind of hoping that that was just a little flash in the pan, and that they'll go back to Podkolzin. But having 26 hits while averaging just 1345, he has shown that while he's out there, he's going to be that guy who's going to attempt to get the puck for the fellas, and he's going to do it quite well. And I had a couple of people voice concern that now that he's playing with McDavid and Draisaitl, he will never touch, or that they're always going to have the puck. So who's he going to hit? Turns out that when you add 3 to 4 minutes a night, there's a little bit more opportunity to throw the rig. Podkolzin currently has 2 points in 7 games, so it's not that great. But as I mentioned, we're looking at a deep league banger target here. So you want someone who could. You're basically going for the hits, and then if he can sprinkle in a few more points, that would be bonus. As I mentioned, he's playing with 2 of the greatest players in the world, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. He runs the risk of moving back down the lineup when Zach Hyman returns early on in November, so realistically, this might just be good for a couple weeks here. But if you can lock this roll in for a few weeks and kind of establish himself as a top 6 option, hopefully we can get a little bit more than the 24 points we saw last year. But I'm loving the banging that Podkolzin's doing. He's throwing it around, and it's good to see. I think he's got top 10 in the NHL hit potential here, but he's going to need to stay on the ice for that to happen. But regardless, worth a peek while playing with 97 and 29 out there.
2 more goalies to get to quickly. We've got Akira Schmid from the Vegas Golden Knights. Adin Hill left Monday's game as my daughter joins me here on the show. Adin Hill left Monday's game versus Carolina with a lower body injury, the second time in 4 games that he's been forced out of the crease. And that sets up Schmid for an extended look. He has been inconsistent, but has flashed upside, stopping 22 of 23 shots in relief against the undefeated Hurricanes on Monday is kind of the tip of the iceberg there for him so far. Vegas, again, very good team, top 10 offensively, top 10 defensively by the metrics, making Schmid a strong speculative ad right now while Hill's sidelined. Obviously, Carter Hart kind of in the system now in Vegas, but still not eligible to play an NHL game until December 1st. So this is a Schmid's crease until Adin Hill gets back. He was out for only a short amount of time here recently. We'll see how long he's sidelined the second time around. And then in Columbus, Jet Greaves is still available in a lot of leagues, but about 40% owned, so I left him off, but he's obviously worth a look right now. He's currently leading the NHL in a goal saved above expected per 60, so certainly worth a look as well. But Elvis has not left the building either. Merzļikins has maintained a timeshare by posting a 269 goals against average and a 927 save percentage in 3 games so far this season, winning 2 of 3. Really strong performance again last night. The problem, though, Columbus continues to just be one of the worst defensive teams in the league, which could erode both of these goalies' numbers. Like, obviously, when you post a 927 save percentage, you're thinking your goals against average is going to be a little bit better, but he's a fine deep league pickup for those who are desperate for starts, but there are definitely safer options among the timeshare goalies on stronger defensive teams, which we've already mentioned as well. But that is going to do it for Waiver Wire Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well so you never miss an episode, and we also have a live DFS show every single day, Monday through Friday. So tune into that. Lots of fun stuff here going on at the DFO Fantasy channel. Thank you so much. See you guys back here tomorrow.
Can't wait for next hump day. Pick up those bodies.
Thanks for watching this video. If you want more great fantasy hockey and betting content from myself, Carter Hutton, Matthew Barnaby, and the rest of the DFO analysts, make sure you subscribe to the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube channel today and never miss a minute.